All right, Shabbat Shalom. Chag Sameach. What else can I get you guys to say? All right, so this is Shemini Atzeret, the Feast of the Eighth Day. And of course, we have our service later in the afternoon here. But this is my favorite part of the week. This is where we get to see what the children have been doing all week. And so I'm very proud of the work that you guys have done, children. Fantastic job. And so, yeah. I'll be thanking more at the end here, but I want to get us right away started. So I'm going to introduce to you the brilliance behind the program. Our youth director, the YMTOI program director, my wife, Rebbetzin Julie.
Good morning, Mishpachah. It's lovely to see all these faces staring back at me. Welcome to the Sukkot 2023 YMTOI program presentation. I say this every year, and it's because it's true. The week just flies by too fast, doesn't it? And we always say this, and it's true too. This has been the best feast ever! So our mandate at YMTOI is from Proverbs 22:6, which says, train up a child in the way they should go. And we take that very seriously here at MTOI and the YMTOI program. And the theme for the feast this year was Fruit of the Spirit for Katan A, Katan B, and Torah tots. Goodle was also taught the Fruit of the Spirit by Rabbi Tom, but they also had some special class presenters in topics such as finances, life skills, time management, entrepreneurship, and marketing, which our Goodle speakers will tell you about when they get up on stage. All of our classes have customized lessons designed for their specific age groups. And we try to make it fun and engaging, involving all the senses, which you will see and hear from our presenters as well as in our videos. I do have some thank yous I really have to give at this time because YMTOI wouldn't be what it is without the help of all our mishpachah. And you will just see just how many people we need to make this program a success. So I want to thank my three women right now that have been my class coordinators for the feast. For the Katan A, Miss Sarah Ott, please stand up. So I'm going to have everybody stand up. Miss Betty Olson for Katan B up front, and Miss Robin Shepard right there for Goodle. I would love to thank my class teachers team, my Torah Tots team with Miss Catherine Brown, Miss Rebbetzin Joanne Mitchell, Miss Michelle Robertson. My Katan A team and teachers, my daughter Brianna White, her husband Ben White over in the sound booth, and Miss Maria Blue, who was a wonderful assistant. My Katan B teachers, Miss Jessica Tucker, Miss Selena Stevenson, and Miss Danielle Baker. My Goodle team, Rabbi Tom Mitchell, Elder Billy Jackson, he's in the back, Shamish Bob Shepard, Mr. Wayne Brown, also married to Catherine Brown, and Mr. Grayson Gardner. Under the YMTOI is also the activities team and my administrators, Shamish Gary Flint. Oh, he's over by the sound booth. And then Shamish Bob Shepard, who is probably in the kitchen. He'll be here later. My Goodle team, Zach Gwynn, Danielle Baker, and Joseph and Alexa Neal, please stand up. Thank you. My Katan B team, Jeremy Troyer, and Grayson and Taylor Gardner. And my Katan A team, Ben and Brianna White. I want to thank my snack team, Miss Delia Crumbaker, with Kelly Beasley and Daphne Neighbors. Thank you. I want to thank Brianna White again for writing the Feast Katan A and Katan B songs. My photographers, Carrie Iannuzzi, Carrie-Amu Walker, Frederick Miles, and myself. We've grown so much that I actually need 4 photographers. I just can't run around like I used to. And I do want to thank the medical team who has been in all our classes and activities run under Andrew and Brandy Ivanov. So thank you. All the medical people have shown up and bandaged our children up. Thankfully, we had no major incidents. I want to thank all the classroom helpers and the YMTOI activity parent helpers that showed up. Thank you so much. Stand up. Let's see how many of you helped out this week. Wow. That's a lot of people standing up. Thank you. I want to thank Ms. Lena Stevenson for creating all the notebook pages for the Katan B class, which you will get to see shortly. I want to thank my daughter, Brianna White, for creating the Katan A crafts, which you also will see. And she made them very simple for the children, which was very much appreciated. And Vera Linton is not here. Her husband and son are here this feast. But I want to thank you, Vera, for the artistry in our notebook pages. And they are just gorgeous, in which you will see shortly. I want to thank all my Bet Shalom ladies who helped prep the crafts and the notebook pages. We had like 5 hours of fun. And so please stand up, all the Bet Shalom ladies who came in and helped prep the class projects. Thank you. I want to thank the AV team run under Marty Schrabel, Chantel Jackson, and Tommy Stevenson for today's presentation, filming, and streaming. And thank you for giving of your time, and all the camera people. Thank you. And last but not least, I do want to thank my husband, Rabbi Steve, and our Nasi. Without him, this wouldn't have been possible, and for entrusting me. So thank you for entrusting me to run the program and having the confidence in me. So thank you. So without further ado, we are going to start the program and why you are here today. First off, we have a new program that we've run now for a couple of years, and we have our Torah Tots presentation. So I'm going to invite Ms. Catherine Brown to come up here with Rebbitzin Joanne. They are going to talk about what the 3 to 4-year-olds did this week, and they're just so adorable. Wait till you see the slideshow. All right, here they are.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Shabbat Shalom. My name is Catherine Brown. I am the teacher for the Torah Tots, and if you don't know, the Torah Tots are the wild but lovable 3 and 4-year-olds. Our program was very similar to Katan A, Katan B. Even our crafts were pretty similar. I would like to give a special thanks to my team, Michelle Robertson, I'm not sure if she's here, and Rebbitzin Joanne Mitchell. I also want to thank the parent helpers that were in the room with me, and the parents that brought snacks all week. Thank you so much. I also want to give a special thanks to Carrie Amu, not because she was just our photographer, but she was also very helpful when she was in the room. Okay, so now I would like to tell you what the Torah Tots did all week. Day one, the theme was love and kindness. Our craft for love was the cherry. And our craft for kindness was grapes. So we did a game for kindness. It was a version of hot potato, where the kids passed around a ball, and when the music stopped, whoever had the ball in her hand, the kids had to say words of kindness about that child. Now, at first, the kids didn't know what to do. They were like, but once they got the hang of it, the kids couldn't wait to have the ball in their hand. They just lit up to hear words about themselves. It was really great. Okay, so day two was joy, peace, and patience. For joy, we did the watermelon. Looks like a smile. Then we did, for peace, we did the banana. The banana looks like he's sleeping. And for the game for peace, we had the kids lay on the floor and act like they were sleeping, and they couldn't move, they couldn't giggle, even if we tickled them, talked to them. It was very hard for 3 and 4-year-olds. For our patience, we did the pineapple. Now, for the pineapple, the kids did the painting with a cotton ball on a clothespin. So it wasn't just painting. So they had to have some patience to fill in the entire pineapple. And for the game, the kids had to run across the field with a spoon holding a cotton ball. They got very frustrated. They kept dropping the ball. I made them start over. They had to have a lot of patience with themselves. On day 4, we did goodness and trustworthiness. For goodness, we did the fig tree. And for trustworthiness, our craft was the raspberries. Now, these were finger painted, and very quickly, before I could stop them, they were dipping their whole hands in the paint. It turned into raspberry jam, as you'll see in the slideshow. None of them looks like raspberries, but they had a great time, so that's all that matters. Day 4, we did gentleness. We did the peach. And actually, this was done with tissue paper and glue. So the kids had to be very gentle while doing this craft. The tissue paper could rip very easily. And for the game, we did balloons outside. The grass is really dry and hard right now, so as soon as those balloons hit the ground, they popped. So the kids were trying to keep them up in the air. They loved it. Anything with balloons, they get excited. Day 5 was self-control. We did a pomegranate mask, which the kids really loved. So we can switch out the mouth and change the emotion of the mask. And it was really good telling the kids that it doesn't matter how they feel, they can control their face. They can still put a smile on their face. And we actually used that all day when the kids, because 3 and 4-year-olds get pouty. And I could tell them, like, you can have self-control. I know you're upset right now, but you can put a smile on your face. And they quickly snapped out of it. It was great. And we played freeze tag. And it's very difficult for 3 and 4-year-olds to stay frozen when they're playing. So that was a great game to demonstrate self-control. I really love this class. It is so much fun. It can be very stressful with all those 3 and 4-year-olds, and I had a lot of 3-year-olds this feast. But it was great. And this class is the first class for my 3-year-olds. So I am very grateful that the parents trusted me enough to leave their kids with me. I am very thankful. So thank you, everyone, and now enjoy the Torah Tots slideshow.
absolutely adorable. And I do want to thank Ms. Shira Wendling for giving us her instrumental to that pomegranate song from the Seven Species when we did that theme once upon a time. So I know a lot of the kids were singing that song. All right, so our next presenters will be the Katan A class, and that is going to be Maura Brianna White and her lovely Vanna, Miss Maria Blue.
Isn't it the snack next? It is, but good. Are you sure? Good. Okay, you can go next. Oh, wait. Can you help me? Sorry. Yeah, there. Sweet. Shalom, everyone. It was my pleasure to be able to work with the Katan Aleph class this feast, and I got to work with Miss Maria and More Ben in the back. And it was just such a great time, and they're such a fun age, 5 through 8. And even though they were little, we got to go into a little bit more detail than you might think for their age group. They're very smart. So day 1, we went over love and kindness. And for love, we told them that it is the first aspect, but it also helps you grow in all the other 8 aspects of the fruit. And what showed this was 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8, where it says, love is patient, love is kind, and rejoices in truth. So patience, kindness, and joy is all tied together with love. And so we asked them what they thought love was. And just a quick example, Lewis said, by being nice to your parents. I'm sure that made his mom proud. And then I also asked them, how do you show love to Yahweh? And Alice said, by doing the Torah. And for kindness, well, for love, I can show you the craft since you have it up. So for the craft, we did cherries, and we used little muffin tins. That was my idea. And so for each craft, we have googly eyes, because I thought that'd be pretty adorable. And the reason why we did cherries is you can't love without 2 people. And also, the 2 greatest commands, loving Yahweh and loving your neighbor. Then for kindness, we decided to tie this with love as well. For kindness, you have to be caring and compassionate. And so I asked them, well, how would you be kind towards a friend? And Catherine says, by not talking behind their back. So then we discussed a little bit about Lashon Hara and gossiping. For our stories, we went over the story of Ruth and how she chose to love Naomi and be kind to her, and how Yahweh blessed her because of it. And then More Ben read the story of David and Jonathan and how he showed brotherly love towards Jonathan and then showed kindness to his son. For the craft for kindness, we did grapes, and we have, again, the googly eyes, and they got to glue on some little pom-poms there. And the reason why we did the grapes is because they come in bunches, so we should be showing kindness in bunches. So we didn't do a game for love, but we did do a game for kindness, and the game was a human grape. And so what they had was 2 teams. 1 kid on each team had an oversized t-shirt, and there was a bunch of balloons all over, and the kids had to work together to put as many balloons in the 30 seconds into the kid's shirt, and they looked like little grapes. And you'll see that in the slideshow. That was it for day 1. Then day 2, we went over 3 fruit. We went over joy, peace, and patience. For joy, we discussed how it meant a deep happiness, but we went a little deeper than that, and we discussed having a dayenu state of mind. And that meant no grumbling or complaining, even though things might not go your way. And so we went over James 1:2. My brothers, count it all joy when you fall into various trials. And so during the preparation day for the kids yesterday, they all said, when they were waiting their turn, let's have joy while we wait and not complain. And so for our joy story, we went over how David was really overjoyed and was dancing when the ark was returned, and how the wife was embarrassed, and she was not having a Dainu state of being and was bitter towards David. And one of the examples of joy, Caden said, "You find joy when listening to the teachers so that you can learn from Yahweh." And so for peace and patience, we will learn that to have peace and patience, you will also then have joy. And so that is shown when David and Shaul are having a moment where Shaul throws a spear, and the kids are all like, And so we said, David showed patience and waited for Yahweh to let him be king. He didn't show bitterness towards Shaul, which is him showing joy. For the crafts for joy, we have the watermelon slice, and we have the little watermelon seeds there as beads, and again, the googly eyes, and it looks like the smile. For peace, we have a banana, which is made from a paper plate. I thought it was the perfect shape. And since it's peace, we have a little pillow made from, it's a cotton ball, so it's sleeping. And then patience, we have the pineapple, and we've glued on the little feathers for the leaves. And then on the body, we have the little yellow dots, which they had a lot of fun putting in a bunch of glue and then throwing on a bunch of yellow pieces. And I know the snack people will talk about why we chose the pineapple, but another thing I realized was it takes a long time to cut open a pineapple, so it takes a little bit of patience. For the game, for peace, we had a snowball fight, which was used with little ping pong balls. We split them into two teams, and then they would just throw them at each other, which, of course, for 5-year-olds, that's super fun. And when I said peace, they had to stop, and that showed that they were not going to continue to throw. And then for patience, we ended up doing it kind of similar to the Torah tots. We did a freeze tag game, and they had to wait patiently for one of their teammates to unfreeze them. And just a quick example from one of the kids for peace. One of the kids said, "If we're making too much noise in the class, Katan B will be distracted, and so that wouldn't be peaceful." That was a really good example. And Madeline said, on Shabbat, we have to wait to give Rabbi a hug for patience. So they really grasped the idea there. Next day, we did goodness and trustworthiness. And we talked about how you have to be trustworthy to be a good person. And your parents always tell you, be good. So we wanted to explain what it meant to be good. And Levi said, when you do what Yahweh says. So that was a really good answer. And so we went over the verse, Matthew 25:23. "Well done, good and trustworthy servant. Enter into the joy of the master." So again, there's all these words tied together. And then we also went over the story again with David, and Shaul was sleeping, and he got so close to cut his shirt. And all the kids were like, oh, because that's kind of crazy that he was that close to him, that he could cut the shirt. And so Saul plotted evil, which is the opposite of goodness. But David responded with being good, and he was trustworthy to wait for Yahweh. So our craft for trustworthiness was the raspberry. And we glued on a bunch of little pom-poms, and they had a lot of fun because it's fuzzy. And for goodness, we have the fig. And we have a foam piece, and then 2 pieces of white paper, and then red paper. For the game, we did a trust walk, and this was probably one of their favorite games. We split them into pairs of 2, and one kid got to be blindfolded, and the other kid had to lead the blindfolded kid through an obstacle course. And a couple of kids bonked their heads and other things that you'll get to see. But I told them, because everyone wanted to get blindfolded, because that sounded more fun. But I said, the ones who aren't getting blindfolded, you have the big job to be the trustworthy friend. Can you lead them through the obstacle course? And that's when they all started, oh, well, now I want to be the one to lead. So it was really great, and they got to experience being a trustworthy friend. Last day, we went over gentleness and self-control. So gentleness, we said that means being careful and tender. And same with gentleness, it's very similar meaning. And so self-control would be not having control or being impulsive. So we got to talk about when you really want to go do something and you do it without thinking first. And then they all thought about, oh, and there's a cake or a cookie that you want to go grab, but your mom says you have to wait. So they all got a lot of good examples out of that. For our story, we went over David and Abigail for gentleness, and the kids realized that Abigail used her words to be gentle, and she showed mercy upon Nabal, her husband. And so for self-control, we went over Samson and how he broke a lot of the fruits of the Spirit along with self-control because he was tempted by the woman. And Lewis said, well, he should have waited for a girl that Yahweh chose because the way you act is more beautiful than the way you look. So that was really good that they got that. And so that was for the lesson part. For the craft, we had a peach purse. So we glued on felt, and it opens up in the middle, so they can put little things in it. And it's made of felt, so it's soft like the peach. And then we had, for self-control, the pomegranate, and it opens up like a mouth. And so, again, we can show self-control is with your words and your actions, and so you get to choose what you do with that. And so that was for our crafts for that day. And then the last game that we had was our water balloon game. And again, we did another obstacle course because they love it. And they had to hold, we went outside, so again, the grass was pretty spiky. We had a water balloon, and they had to hold it in one hand, and they had to go through the obstacle course without dropping their balloon or popping it or stepping on anything. If they got all the way to the end and stepped on something, they had to go all the way back. So that showed them gentleness while holding the balloon and self-control to, wait and go back. So that was what they got to do throughout the week. It was a really great week. I think they learned a lot. I learned a lot. And now they get to tell you about what they learned and sing. So.
All right, weren't they amazing and so cute? And so handsome and so pretty. All right. So it does help if you look at the thing you typed up. So I kind of skipped the snacks, kind of like one of the most important things the kids adored about this program. So I'm going to go ahead and invite Ms. Delia Crumbaker to come up here and talk to you about the snacks.
Pretty good. Yeah. Thank you. How do you follow that? Shabbat Shalom. My name is Delia Crumbaker, and I have been doing the snacks for 6 feasts now, and this is my second as the snack coordinator. Thank you, Rebbitzin, for entrusting me to do that each year, each feast. I'm joined by my friends and my right-hand ladies, Miss Kelly Beasley and Miss Daphne Neighbors. And this feast's theme was a snack coordinator's dream. It is the fruit of the Spirit. These snacks were not only fun to explain to the kids, but they were extra yummy this feast, and because who doesn't love fruit? We had a good time getting the fruit together, although we had to buy everything at the last minute so it didn't rot on us. Each yummy fruit that was associated to a fruit of the Spirit had an easy-to-understand aspect that the kids could truly use to remember the spiritual fruits. In Galatians 5:22 and 23, it says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, trustworthiness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such there is no Torah." In our first class, last Shabbat, we paired love and kindness. For these, in Katan classes, Rebbitzin used the cherries, usually shown in pairs, for love, and grapes for kindness. Let's see. Yeah. It's not wise to give little kids cherries so they could swallow or choke on the pits. So we decided to use frozen cherries to make a little cherry vanilla shake that you can see there. And along with the piece of chocolate shaped like a heart, like a dessert, because everyone loves dessert. We paired this with individual grape bunches for each Katan snack because grapes are always grown in bunches and we have to be kind to one another when we were all together. We had a little first day feast drama in that we locked up one blender and had to finish with a second one, making over 240 ounces of yogurt shakes at one time. Then it seems the cherries are still a bit tart for some of the Katan A kids, and they didn't think they were sweet enough for them. Put that one there. Next slide. Oh, sorry, I left out Goodle. Goodle also got to celebrate the High Holy Day and Shabbat with a beautiful snack of fresh blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries in a waffle cone bowl with a half a banana. It was a beautiful and healthy treat for them. On our second class, Monday, after the free day, we covered 3 fruits of the Spirit: joy, peace, and patience. For these, we used watermelon cut in a big smile. And for joy, we had bananas cut into the eyes of the smile for peace. And we also had a banana shown resting peacefully on a marshmallow pillow. For patience, we used a pineapple, and we were able to talk to the kids about the pineapple, teaching them that a pineapple takes 2 to 3 years to grow. We asked them how old they were 2 to 3 years ago, and to think all that has happened in that time. We told them the farmer of this pineapple had to wait patiently for it to grow over all that time until it was ready to finally pick and have here today. We brought a giant smile to each class in Katan, and the snack was a fruit salad of watermelon, pineapple, and banana chunks, with a big kosher marshmallow on top. Our third class on Tuesday morning was time for goodness and trustworthiness. You might ask how a fruit can show these 2 aspects, but Rebbitzin had the perfect analogies that the fig and raspberries could represent these. We made a toasted bagel for each child with a yummy fig spread on it for goodness, and it gave each one we gave each one half of a ripe fig for them to taste and see the fruit. I didn't grow up eating figs and didn't know what they even looked like till I had one as an adult. But these kids are Israelites, and they seem to know all about what a fig was. We paired this with fresh, ripe raspberries for trustworthiness. How to explain this to a kid? She said, we can trust that each raspberry will taste the same. Simple concepts really help kids remember what their lessons teach. Next slide. Our fourth and final class covered the last two remaining spiritual fruits, gentleness and self-control. For this, we used peaches and a pomegranate to explain to the kids. The peach is soft and can bruise easily, so we had a very soft, ripe peach for the kids to pass around and feel how gentle we needed to be with these. Then to open a pomegranate and remove the seeds or arils, it takes a lot of self-control to get through all of the pith and not to make a mess. We cut a pomegranate in half to show how packed the arils are inside, and then we had some loose ones for the kids to try if they wanted to. Our snack was a fruit cup of peaches, a gluten-free cracker spread with a cream cheese peach preserves mixture, and a kiddish cup of 100% pomegranate juice for the kids to try. That's a little bitter. We were able to explain each of the snacks this feast, and it really helped the kids identify with what we were trying to teach, since they weren't as creative. They were just more yummy. Next slide. The grand finale was class 5, where they learned about all of the fruits. This class had the fun treats for both Katan and Goodle. It was make your own apple pizza. We thin sliced almost 20 apples to get the cord round middle slices for each kid to drizzle with honey and get creative dressing their own apple pizza with their favorite toppings like fresh sliced strawberries, mini chocolate chips, sunflower seeds, and raisins. Overall, this feast snacks were by far the healthiest and tastiest treats I've made so far, but this is a grown-up parent's opinion, of course. The kids loved the fruits and really seemed to know which each one represented in the spiritual fruits from their lessons. You guys have some really smart kids. I want to thank again Ms. Kelly and Ms. Daphne for their hard work to make sure these were fresh and on time for class, along with the class coordinators, Robin Shepard, Betty Olson, and Sarah Beth Ott, for making sure we knew how many kids needed snacks and for even helping us deliver them on time each day. And since it's Shemini Atzeret, symbolizing the forever kingdom together, I'm reminded of the tree of life fruit that we will all have at that time. In Revelation 22, 1 and 2, it says, "And he showed me a river of water of life, clear as crystal, coming from the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb. In the middle of its street and on either side of the river was the tree of life, which bore 12 fruits, each tree yielding its fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations." Thank you all.
Okay, so we did have a few computer glitches, so some slides might have not been on time, but we can't control that. So now we're going to show the Katan A slideshow. So this year in our slideshow presentations, we also included our MTOI extension group. So thank you all for sharing your pictures with us and for doing the crafts alongside us. So it was just wonderful to include them. And I want to thank my daughter Brianna for creating such a lovely slideshow. You can tell a yellow made that slideshow. Really cute. All right. So now I'm going to bring up our Katan B teachers, Maura Jessica Tucker, and her lovely Vanna, Miss Selena Stevenson, and they are going to talk about what Katan B did during this week.
Yeah, I think I'm good. Hi. So, obviously, I'm nervous, but I didn't wipe my sweaty hands on Selena this feast, so I think we're kind of good. Okay, so first, I definitely want to thank Selena and definitely Danielle. They were amazing. And Grover, for sure, he was there every class being awesome. And all the parent helpers did such a wonderful job, and so did my class. They were fantastic. Okay, so we were a little bit more comprehensive with the fruit this feast. We talked more into the Hebrew words and went into a deeper meaning of everything. So we'll start with class 1. We talked about love, which is ahava, and kindness, which is hesed. And we talked about the 3 different types of love, the agape, the philios, and the eros, and how agape is that unconditional love from Yahweh, and the philios is like a conditional but like a deep brotherly love, and then the eros is like love between a man and a woman, so we related that to their parents. We also talked about how loving others and treating them the way that they want to be treated is more important than treating them the way that you want to be treated. And then also we read through the story of Cain and Abel, and we talked about like how hate can take over who you are. So then for kindness, we defined kindness as the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. And we talked about clothing ourselves with kindness and thinking about kindness more as a lifestyle instead of just an action. And then we went through like different ways that we could show kindness, like kindness with our words to ourselves and to each other, kindness with our actions, the way we treat ourselves and the way we treat other people, and then kindness with our attitude, the way that we present ourselves. And then we read through the stories of Ruth, Tabitha, Cornelius, and then King David, so we had a lot of material that we covered. And then we talked about responding with kindness, like when someone has anxiety or when someone's mean to you, we talked about how to use Torah to respond with kindness. And then Selena's gonna go over the crafts we did for loving kindness.
This is our craft notebook. So this is the front cover. We have all these little fruits, and they're on popsicle sticks, and they get to stick this little fruit basket down and put puffy paint on there. So that's what the cover looks like. And for love, we have 2 pages. We have this from Corinthians 13, the love chapter. We have love is, and we have patient, and we have kind. And on this other side, we have love is not. So we have the negatives, love does not boast, and so on. And then we have this page. So we have the good fruit and the rotten fruit on every page. So on this one, you flip it up and you have a verse. This is my command, that you love one another as I have loved you. And then for the rotten one, do not hate your brother in your heart. And on each page, we have a little Torah scroll with love, ahava, so the Hebrew word. And on this one, we have heart and the Hebrew word for heart, which is lev. So that is our love page. And then for kindness, we have sparkly, shiny grapes, and then we have rotten grapes.
And you flip these up, and there's a verse underneath, and you have kindness, chesed. And then this is the story of Ruth, and she is gathering wheat, and she moves down to pick up the wheat. And that is our kindness craft.
Great. And then, so we have some demonstrations from our class. They're going to show us what love and kindness looks like and what it doesn't look like. Go ahead, Agnes.
I hate my brother. He is so annoying.
Wait, 1 John 4:20 says, if someone says, I love Elohim and hates his brother, he is a liar. If you love Yahweh, love your brothers.
And next is kindness.
I'm so sorry.
I don't care. She's sorry for ripping my shirt. She can't come to my party.
My friend, the Torah in Ephesians 4:32 says to be kind towards one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another as Elohim forgave you in Messiah.
Yay! Okay, they're so stinking cute. Okay, so class 2, we did joy, which is simcha, and then we did peace, which is shalom, and patience, which is savlanut. And we defined joy as a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. We talked about joy in keeping the feasts. We talked about joy in various trials, and we went over like Paul and Silas when they were in jail, and they had joy during that process and how it worked out for them. We talked about how joy and happiness brings you much more when you're giving and when you're serving than it does when you're receiving. And we talked about how joy is largely composed of gratitude, and that gratitude for all the wonderful things that Yahweh gives us. And then for peace, we define peace as a quiet tranquility. It's a freedom from disturbance and freedom from or the cessation of like war or strife. And then we talked about Elisha and his servant, and how Elisha had peace when the king was trying to kill him. We talked about Avraham and Lot, and how their servants were going at it, and then they created peace between themselves. And then we talked about Galatians 5:22, which it says, like that's the result of having peace and resting in a relationship with Yahweh, because peace is more than the absence of conflict. It's a tranquil state of your soul and contentment when things are not going your way. And then for patience, we define that as the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. We talked about King Saul when he was very impatient with the sacrifice, and Samuel came to deliver that news. We talked about the golden calf. We talked about Yeshua in the wilderness, and Yeshua and the paralyzed man. And then we talked about when we show patience towards others, we're actually showing that towards Yahweh. Because in Exodus 34, verses 6 through 7, it shows that it's one of Yahweh's attributes. And then Selena's going to go over our crafts.
This is the craft for joy. So when the kids got these, on all of these we have the nice fruit and the rotten fruit. And on a lot of these I chose for them to color the rotten one. I thought it would be really fun for them to color the rotten one on some of these. So they had a really good time with it. Miss Vera colored these. So we have the nice one and the rotten one. And we have joy, simcha. And then this is Paul and Silas rejoicing in prison. And you see we've put some little glitter bars there. And then this is peace. And we have shalom. We all know that one. So we've got these bananas that peel. So the nice banana says, peace I can't read it upside down. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give as the world gives. And then on this lovely rotten one that Miss Vera made us, we have, do not let your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. So that is peace. And then this one, and you can see it's, we've already shown you kindness. They're right here together. we have patience, and that is savlanut. And of course, I had to put glitter on the pineapple, and the kids had a good time putting glitter on their pineapples. And so we've got the nice one and the rotten one. And this is the story of Saul being impatient, and he would not wait on Samuel to make the offering. So we've got this, and I don't know if you can see that. Samuel's face is just really disgruntled at his impatience.
Okay, and now our class is going to demonstrate what joy, peace, and patience looks like and what it doesn't look like.
You're fired. I've lost everything. I just can't seem to feel happy about anything.
You have Yahweh, and he will take care of you. Psalm 5:11 says, "But let all who take refuge in you rejoice. Let them ever shout for joy because you shelter them."
Okay.
It's mine. No, it's mine.
Stop, friends. Romans 12:18 says, "If possible, on your part, be at peace with all men. Share the toy to play together."
This line's taking forever. I don't want to wait. Who needs groceries anyway?
Just wait in line, friend. Your mom sent us here because she needs help with errands. Proverbs 15:18 says, a man of wrath stirs up strife, but he who is patient appeases strife."
Definitely love those kids. Not because, mine were in that set. Okay, yeah. So class 3, it was goodness, which is tov, and then trustworthiness, which is ne'emanut. And we talked about goodness being the quality of being good, kind, and generous, and that goodness involves not only right behavior, but also avoiding its opposite, which is evil. We talked about the story of Adam and Hava and what happened in the garden. And then we talked about when we study Yahweh's word and we try to live our lives according to his word, then we strive to be good to others. And that we can produce good fruit by keeping the Torah and following what Yahweh says. And then for trustworthiness, we talked about trustworthiness being the ability to be relied on as honest or faithful. And we learned that sadly, not everything we see or hear is trustworthy, but we can rest assured that Yahweh's word is. And we went through the parable of the talents with the good and trustworthy servant. And then we talked about trustworthiness also being living up to our commitments and what we say, being thoughtful about what we choose to discuss, being honest and not representing ourselves as more knowledgeable than we are. And here's our crafts.
So goodness and trustworthiness are on the page together. So we have goodness, which is tov, and we have a tree with good fruit on it. So we have love, joy, peace, so on. But we flip it up, you have the opposite. So when you flip up love, you have hate. Joy, you have sorrow. And so we have the picture of the rotten fruit underneath. So they have that. And goodness is the fig. And then here we have trustworthiness. So we've got the rotten raspberry. But then we have this, and this is the good one. Well done, good and trustworthy servant. You were trustworthy over a little. I shall set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. And that is what this scene is. This is the master who gave 3 servants 5, 2, and 1 talents. So the one with 5 talents turned it into 10. The one with 2 turned it into 4. And the one that only had 1 talent hid it away. And so we have this really sad talent in the trustworthiness craft.
Okay. And now our students are going to show you what trustworthiness and goodness looks like and what they don't look like. Right, yeah. Can I go
I don't want to use my money. If I take my mom's money, I can save mine.
Stop. You are a child of Yahweh. Amos 5:14 through 15 says, those who serve Yahweh will see good, not evil, and hate evil, but love good.
My friend told me an important secret I have to tell everybody.
Don't share it. Proverbs 11:13 says, a slanderer is a revealer of secrets, but one with a trustworthy spirit conceals a matter.
Don't you just love it when they memorize stuff? It's like, yeah, you're into it. All right. Okay, so class 4, which is our last one with the fruit, was gentleness, which is anava, and self-control, which is shlita atzmi. And gentleness is the quality of being meek, kind, tender, or mild-mannered. And we talked about Abigail and King David and how Abigail used her gentleness to persuade King David not to kill her husband, which was great. And then we read through Titus chapter 3, verses 1 through 2, who says, remind them to be subject to rulers and authorities, to obey, to be ready for every good work, not to slander anyone, and not to be quarrelsome, to be gentle, showing all meekness to all men. And we talked about how Yahweh shows us the power of his love in a gentle way, and that's exactly how Yahweh wants us to show other people gentleness. We also read through the story of Solomon, of Yeshua in the wilderness, and Daniel and his 3 friends. And the last thing that we talked about was self-control, which is the ability to control yourself, in particular one's emotions and desires, or the expressions of them in your behavior. We talked about how Elohim has not given us a spirit of cowardice, but of power, of love, and self-control. We talked about self-control in our behavior, especially when we're angry. We talked about self-control when we're judging other people. We talked about self-control like with our money and our time, and that our tongues can be the most difficult thing to control, and they leave us with great regret if we use our words to hurt. And here is our crafts.
So we have gentleness, and gentleness is the peach. So we have this felt peach, and I'm not going to take it apart, but it has a rock in there to represent the pit, so we have to be gentle. And then we have the nice peach, and they actually, I remember they colored the rotten peach on this one, so you can see that in the slideshow. It looks really cool. They had made some really good rotten peaches. This is self-control, so we have the nice pomegranate, we have the rotten pomegranate, we have the Hebrew word, and this is Samson. And Samson moves, so his little hands come up to knock the columns down. And then in this craft, I colored Rebbitzon's name in, so they all have their name colored on the back. And that is our craft.
Yay! And this is our class showing us what gentleness and self-control looks like and what it doesn't look like.
My sister keeps making a mess. I know she's young, but I'm gonna yell at her if she does it again.
I know she is your sister, and she does not mean to make a mess. Philippians 4:5 says, let your gentleness be known to all men.
I'm so mad at my mom right now, I just want to scream at her.
Don't yell at your mom. Proverbs 16:32 says, a man who has no control over his spirit is like a broken down city.
I'm so proud of them. Okay, so now we're going to go over all of the games that we played in class. There were a lot of them, because obviously yellow, hello. So the first game that we played for love We had a bunch of categories, like different types of love, like a kind of love that covers you, a kind of love that's binding, and things like that. And so we put all of the types of love on one side, and then we put a bunch of verses on the other, and then they had to mix and match, and that was really fun. We put in a trick one, because we put covering twice, and the kids were like, oh, we can't figure out that other one. And then some of them actually got that it was twice, so that was good. For joy, we had everybody get into like little groups of 4, and then they had to link their arms together, and then they had to like get down on the ground, like butt on the ground, and then they all had to lift each other up together. And then we combined the groups, and instead of 4, then it was 8, and then it was 12, and then we got the whole class. And we called that our joy game because it was so much fun. We were all laughing and literally lifting each other up. So that was good. And then for peace and patience, every single day, we had the kids put their heads down and their thumbs up, and we played like the heads up, the 7-up when it was time for their craft or time for snack, which was really good. So the quietest people got their snack first. For gentleness, we had all of the kids get into little groups again and twist their hands up. So one hand would be for one person, one for the other, and they had to gently untangle themselves, which was so much fun seeing the kids get to do that. And the next thing we did was trust telephone for trustworthiness, which was funny. So we did some words like orange fish loves gray toes. And so we would tell one student that, and then they'd have to like say it to everyone. And then the last person would have to come up and say what it says. And it was hilarious because they never got it right. And then we did for self-control and also patience as well. It was a self-control word scramble. So we made this giant ball pit, and we put like little cutouts of letters that would spell out all the fruit of the Spirit twice, and these little balls. And they had spoons where they had to scoop them out into a bucket, and they had to try to spell the fruit of the Spirit. And each team had one person in that pit digging out the words, and then they had another one trying to spell something. So we had quite a bit of fun playing all of these games. And now the class is going to sing us a song. My babies did so good. So next we're gonna see a slideshow of everything that happened in our class.
I want to thank Selena for creating that beautiful Katan B slideshow. And again, we did include the international mishpachah, and thank you for doing the Katan B notebook pages. All right, so at this time, our Goodle teachers and presenters are going to be showing you what the Goodle class did throughout the week. And we are going to start with Rabbi Tom, who's going to come to the front. And he actually taught on the theme that the rest of the children had, which was the fruit of the Spirit. So here is Rabbi Tom.
Thank you, and Chag Sameach. I've always viewed our teenagers as a very special treasure. And one of the reasons for that is that Rebitz and Joanne and I have been to some Sukkot celebrations or commemorations where we just couldn't wait until it was over and we could get out of there. But the teenagers there who were at those, in another organization, of course, had an even more terrible time. But when we came here to Beth Shalom, I remember our first feast, we actually saw young people having fun. Terrible sin. Young people having fun. Teenagers and those younger than teenagers. And all of a sudden we realized, the feast is over already. We have to go home. And we looked on that with sadness. But we immediately made plans to come back in the spring for Pesach. And of course, that was called Now Is the Time Ministries. I think before it was called YMTOI. But it was in Sevierville. We kept the feast. So I tell our teenagers, and by the way, I conduct a Torah Teens class every Thursday at 9 a.m., 1 p.m. Eastern Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And the 9 p.m. was added so that the teens in the Philippines and maybe the West Coast can join in a little easier. But I do want to mention we have several people in South Africa, but two young girls especially. They're in the 1 p.m. class, which for them is about 7 p.m., and they're in the 3 a.m. class, which for them is about 4 a.m. in the morning. So they're really dedicated. But anyhow, we have to view our teens as a special treasure because I've told them several times, you guys are the YMTOI and Beth Shalom of tomorrow. And that should be an encouragement to us. And that should be something that we have to look forward to nurturing them and allowing them to develop. We have to allow them to make their mistakes. We have to allow them to pick themselves up. We can't helicopter over them, be helicopter parents, you know. So they're at a very special age. They're not kids, and they're not quite adults. They're just like maybe a chick pecking the eggs so they can get free. And we know what happens if you help a chick get out of the egg, if you break the egg for them. They don't live very long. So they've got to learn. They've got to experience. And we went over the fruits of the Spirit. We went over all 9 of them initially in the first session, the first day. And today we're going to be going over them again. But we're going to take a little different tack. For example, we went over love, the 3 types of love in Greek, agape, philia, and eros. And of course, the Hebrew is ahava. Ahav is love. And But today we're going to go into a little different kind of love, tough love. Sometimes we have to give our teenagers tough love. Sometimes we have to give adults tough love. And our teenagers now are in a learning stage. And it's very important that we have to nurture that, but allow them to learn, allow them to grow. And that it's a very delicate time for them. So if you have teenagers who are not in the Torah teens, you might encourage them to don't force them, but you might encourage them to join in our Torah teens every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern or 9 p.m. Eastern. And we studied a variety of subjects. We studied the Kings and Chronicles, and we went through some of the minor prophets and everything. So this afternoon we're going to have our final class, and I hope that our teens especially will be able to take the lessons they've learned and home with them and think about them and make up their minds that they are going to develop into the type of teenagers that we need 10, 15, 20 years from now to run this congregation. That's what we have to keep in mind. And of course, we never know how things will turn out. But the organization that Reverend Joanne and I used to be in, there were very few teens that ever stuck with it. As soon as they got 18, 19, 20, you never saw them again. But here we have exceptions. We have some kids here who are 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. I know for a fact when they get in their 20s, they're going to come back here because they want to be here, because we love them and respect them. And by the way, this is the largest class that we've had of teens. So we're growing, and we've got to encourage and nurture that growth in all areas, but especially for our teens, because they're. So I hope that you all do that. And it's very important that we don't just push teens off to the side. It's very important that we acknowledge them for what they are and where they are, and tell them, hey, we're glad you're here at the feast. And so we're going to continue with our program of teaching our children, all of our children, of course, but especially the teens, because they're the ones that are ready to leave the nest, and so we want them to leave in a good way. Not every one of them will pan out, but I always have the hope of the millennial reign in the kingdom. So if some of our teenagers go wild for a few years, we hope that they'll come back, and if they don't, then, as I said, there's a millennial reign in the kingdom, and that gives us a great hope. So, by the way, the teens that were in our classes were very participatory. They asked good questions, they made good comments, and that's encouraging to those of us who are teaching them. And I had help with Mr. Wayne Brown and Mr. Grayson Gardner, and of course, when I was down here, other people took the class too. So all I can say is we got to love and nurture our teenagers, and the best way to get them to develop the fruits of the Spirit is to show that in our own lives as role models.
Thank you, Rabbi Tom. And for our second class, we had a special speaker, Elder Billy Jackson, who taught on finances, who will speak to us about that.
Thank you, sir. Awesome. Well, I had probably the most boring class because we talked about budgeting and saving, and nobody wants to talk about money. So, no, the kids were great. They were great. Halfway through, a couple of them fell asleep, dozed off. We got up, stretched, played Simon Says, found out who was listening, who wasn't. So it was great having an opportunity to be with all of them. One thing that I shared with Rabbi that I think all of us, not just YMTOI and the leadership here, but really it starts at home with the parents. I was really surprised to see I guess I don't want to really call it a smack. I was really surprised to see the lack of attention or the lack of understanding of money in general with all of the teenagers. I mean, out of 50 plus, there were only 2 that were receiving allowances, and it's probably a handful that were actually working. But the thing that was failing amongst the majority of our teenagers that are about to become adults is they don't have the life skills necessary to be out on their own, a lot of them. So let that be a charge to you as parents. We talked about saving and budgeting because most of you need it because we counsel a lot of you with saving and budgeting. Having a written budget. We went over a written budget, how to put one together, and a lot of them struggle, are not interested in it, and they're going to need that in a very short while. They're going to need those skills, and I wanted to give them some of those, at least an introductory to those skills, so when they become young adults, our schedule won't be full of counseling with finances. But it's very necessary, not just finances, but also saving. I'm not sure what they spend their time doing, a lot of them, but it was very evident that they need help. Our teenagers, these young adults, really need help with life skills. How to put together a budget, how to save, how to pick, how to have career choices. I had a lot of the feedback from a lot of the teenagers that want to do careers or jobs. We explained the difference between careers and jobs. We talked about the median income needed to be successful in the state that they live in, the median rent ranges to pay rent. And in this day and age, with the cost of rent in the cities that these children come from, all over the world, did I just get tongue-tied? All over the world, is about $57,000. And you know, coming out the gate, entry level, nobody's making $57,000 in most jobs. So unless you want them to be living in your basement or in that spare room or giving them that room when they're 20, 30 years old, we got to get on the ball as adults and teach these kids the responsibility of having a budget. That means you have to have one, a written budget, how to put it together, and learn about saving money. So I was shocked, to say the least, but I was also shocked at the lack of interest a lot of them had. No, and fairly said, none of them really were interested in budgeting. They were more interested in things we talked about, money, what money can do, and the role that money plays in your life. But nobody's interested in having a written budget or saving money. And who do I look at? The ones I'm looking at now, the parents. It's our job. And we're here. You got me and Rabbi, and we have some wisdom and knowledge to help if you want it. It's not like we're pushing it on it. I think we may start giving more. Rabbi did it years back, feast back, I think it was last year when he did a whole life thing about, goals and all that with the Goodle. And I think we need to continue to do that because they are lacking. And I don't want them to go out into the world and be unsuccessful or be unprepared. And trust me when I tell you, that's the area. Finances is an area that touches every part of your life, including your walk. How can we not beat you up, but how can we stress about the covenant of tithing if you don't have a budget? If you're not saving, if you're not preparing, if you're not being obedient to the 3 tithes that's commanded to give. So then when we look at the teenagers, we see why they're not prepared. Because guess what? Their parents are not prepared. We love them. I love them. I love all my babies. And to see them grow from one stage, from Katan A to B. We didn't have tots when I first came to the ministry, but Katan A to Katan B, and now to see these babies as Goodle. And a lot of them, I think the age was changed to 19 this year. So we got 19-year-olds. And some of the 19-year-olds have no experience whatsoever with money. They never got allowance or given the responsibility of actual money to make decisions. But it's needed. And when I found out it was needed is when I started teaching finance back in 2011, because the ministry I was a part of needed it, because the people were six-figure earners and they were the brokest ministry I ever seen in my life. So I was inspired to start teaching about finances and the importance of finances in your life. Don't wait till it's too late. And that's why I'm glad for the opportunity to be able to share with the teenagers. And a lot of them got a lot out of it. The ones that did, they came back, they took notes because I gave them paperwork, they were interested. They wanted to talk about careers and jobs and what they should pick and how much they paid. We got to teach them how to look at numbers, because you all know we work for numbers. We got responsibility. We're not working because we wanted to be a doctor necessarily when we grew up, or a veterinarian. We know once responsibility came in and we had kids and husbands and wives, it became a number we started looking at. How much money do I need to live the life that I want to live? Amen? So we taught them to start looking at numbers, not just the job. A lot of people got degrees in this and that, doctorates, masters, so on and so forth, and not using them because they're not useful with responsibility, or they're not giving them that number that we all know we need in order to maintain the lifestyle that we want. So they got a preview of what a lot of you get when you come to me with your finances. What's your number? They got to learn what the number is. So let that be a lesson not just for them, but also for all of us. When you come to me with your finances, I'm going to ask you what your number is. And a lot of you might ask that haven't come to me, what do you mean what my number is? How much money do you need per month to fit the lifestyle that you want? And what is your number to get the lifestyle that you need? And if you got a look on your face, a glazed look, it's probably because you don't know those numbers. And if you don't know those numbers, it means you don't have a written budget. So I see a lot of you thinking, a lot of you looking around. We all have to own this. And I own it for all 53 of those babies that I got in there and taught. Because at some point, I hope they'll come back because they got an introduction, and they'll come back and say, Elder, I'm ready to write a budget. Elder, I'm ready to learn how to save. I got my numbers together that I want. I got the job that pays the number that I need for the lifestyle that I want. I don't care what job or career it is. Is it going to hit that number that you want? If not, we need to reevaluate. Like Rabbi says, we need to observe, adjust. What was the third one? What was it, Rabbi? Did you say it? Somebody say it. Rabbi's been talking about it all the time. Huh? Learn. Learn, observe, and adjust. Thank you, Rebison. Learn, observe, and adjust. And we do that all the time, right? Anybody in this room not earning money besides the children? So all of us are earning money, right? Some way, shape, or form, you're earning it or you're receiving it. We all deal with finances in our life. So it's important that we know how to deal with it the right way, the way that allow us to not struggle when third tithe year comes. And we teach you these things, correct? So we need to make sure we're imparting this to our children. As young as they know what a dollar is, if they can go to the store and point at something and say, I want, then they should be learning about money. I did that with my kids. And I start giving them money. Well, they earned it, but talk to them about earning the money, giving them money so that they can learn responsibility. And it also gives us an opportunity to watch their habits to adjust. I got spenders and I got savers out of my 6 kids. So I got to teach some about impulsive buying and about saving, this, that, and the third. And we do that with the adults all the time. So I wanted to get them an introduction while they're in that stage where a lot of them are working and a lot of them about to go into the work field. We talked about not being in debt. They heard a lot of stories about people in debt and got out of debt. Don't want them to get in debt. Don't want them to screw up before they get started. Don't want them to get caught if they decide to go to college. We talked about that too. For all the kids that want to go to college, are you going to college for something you need college for? That's something we counsel about, something we teach. And I'm sure the other teachers in their different areas that they talked about have insight on that as well. But we teach our young people as we teach the adults. Are you going to college for something that you need college for? So we want to make sure that we're putting them in a good place and getting them set up for a prosperous future. Amen? All right, thank you.
A little bit of a height difference. Okay, so our next special speaker for our third class was Shamish Bob Shepard, and he will come up and speak on that.
Well, it sounds like you've already got with Rabbi and Elder Billy talking to already, but we also talked about the Proverbs 15:22. Without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed. So we talked about who are our advisors, parents. Your job now for the teens is to be their advisors or counselors. And then we talked about leadership, who is in leadership and who should we be having that. We also went over them being prepared in all situations, fires, hurricanes, floods. We went through all that. I'm going to bring up Gabe Blue, and he's going to go through what we should do in all situations, and also we also talked about hands-on CPR so they could be prepared if something happened to somebody here or anywhere.
Hello. Okay. All right. So let's say you come up on a scene and you see someone who's down on the floor, and you can't tell if they're conscious or breathing. First, you want to check the scene and see if it's safe for you to help, and to see if it's safe for others. And once you've observed to see if there's any down power lines or any fallen trees, then you can go and help. And once you're there and you see the person lying down on the ground, you want to shake them, see if they're conscious and if they're responding to anything. And if they're not, then you would go and check to see if they're breathing, because when you're in a rush, you can check for a pulse too. But when you're in a rush, it's hard to check for that. You have adrenaline pumping through you, your heart's beating fast, and it's hard to tell. So breathing is the best strategy to check if they're conscious or not. And so once you check for breathing and you see that they're not breathing, you want to check and you want to call someone. You want to see if someone can call 911 for you or get an AED kit. And at that point, then you would start doing CPR. And by doing CPR, you would do 30 compressions at least 2 inches deep. And you would keep doing that until either you get an AED kit or until other help arrives. And yeah.
So I want you to check your kids out, make sure that they remember this stuff. I told them if they practice it just in their minds, as rabbis talked about, the basketball thing, if they keep practicing it, they'll remember it, because I will be checking them out next feast, and I do appreciate having your kids and being able to teach them. Thank you.
And for our fourth class, we had Mr. Wayne Brown. He taught on time management.
Got it. Okay. Good? All right. Thank you. Oh, man, I'm going to try to do this real quick. Good morning, everybody. First, I want to say what an honor it was to actually work with 4 of these great men how much wisdom and knowledge they have. It was such a blessing. And I would say to your parents, next feast, please volunteer. Please come into class because you'll learn just as much as you will here. Well, that's my opinion. So what class this was a great class. A lot of the teens participated. They were asking a lot of really good questions. So what our class was, we were more talking on the goals of time and what time really is. We wanted them to make sure that they knew what time is. That there is something called that time, and that time is the duration of life. And that we want them to realize the difference between that time, what is productive and what is unproductive. And that was the main goal of our class that we were speaking about. We actually started the class out with the name of the teaching, which is, "This is a waste of my time." And the kids all laughed about it and everything, but I wanted them to realize it's the perspective of how you see this. It's not, "This is a waste of my time." You want to change the word "is" and "this," and you want to say, "Is this a waste of my time?" So these are just little concepts that we were trying to get the kids to realize and to come to understand. Try we won't get this fast for you guys. And which just brings me to our next topic. We want to determine, nope. All right. Let's see. Try to speed up fast. I'm fine. Okay, sure. All right. Okay. Got myself a little mixed up here. All right. So yeah, we wanted them to realize the difference between time and what time was. We took them in Ecclesiastes, and we wanted them to read little words from Solomon and how Solomon viewed what time was. And he realized that time was absolutely nothing without a purpose. It was later on in his life that he realized that everything he has, everything he's done, has been just a waste without meaning. And the meaning that he wanted to find, the wisdom and knowledge for that. So we wanted the kids to realize that defining the wisdom and knowledge is to find their purpose in life and how to use that to their advantage, how to determine what is productive and what is unproductive. And this will help them in order to take the time and break it down and budget. So that was basically the whole point of the class that we wanted to get across to them. And come to find out that this was a great class to kind of introduce them into their next class that Grayson had for them, which is the next step.
Shabbat Shalom. I'd like to first start off by thanking Rebbitzin and Rabbi for giving me the opportunity to teach. It was an absolute honor, and it's just a pleasure to be able to share some of the things that I've learned over my life and present it in a format that would be consumable by the teens. And so we started off so my class was, I believe Rebbitzin said, entrepreneurship and marketing. And so I'm a full-time content creator, so I play video games and then make content from it. And then I use that as a way of business. And so I was then qualified to be able to teach people how you could take any of the things that you're passionate about and use it as a way to generate money online. And so that was the main point of the class. And so we started off by focusing on how important it is to have a vision of your future, and how if you don't have a vision of your future, you'll end up being defined by your past, and how I'm at in my life in all of my areas because of the vision that I have for my future, whether it be my relationship with my wife or my profession. Everything about where I'm at has been a result of me working towards that goal that I have for myself. I wanted to make it expressly clear to them that they had no better time to be working on these things that they're passionate about than right now, because whether it's 1 to 2 years or 3 to 5 years, they're eventually going to be entering the world of adulthood, and they're going to be having significantly more things that they have to take care of and things that are going to take their time. And so I wanted to stress how you have an opportunity whether it's 1 to 2 years or 3 to 5, depending on what age they are, to really capitalize and make sure that they set themselves up to be able to step right into just continuing to do something that they love if they wanted to make the choice to do so. And so I really wanted to stress that you can make an income through doing really anything that you're passionate about, whether it's video games, whether it's nails, whether it's you like pictures of dogs. You can genuinely take anything and then turn that into a way to earn incomes online. And so in order to get them thinking about these different ways, we went through the different ways that I, as a content creator, have generated different streams of income, had that all up on the board, and then gave them the opportunity to come up with 5 different things that they're passionate about, and then think about all of the different ways they could potentially use those to create income streams. And so once we had them thinking about that, I gave them some time to really just think about what their vision for their future was and who they wanted to be in all the areas of their life, so that way they would have something that they could drive themselves for. And then once we had that vision of the future, in order to go from where they're at now to where they want to be, the biggest thing that they have to do is change. And then we discussed how the most important place that you need to change is in your thoughts, because nothing is going to change out here until you change in here first. And so how we live in a vibrational world, and how all of our thoughts have different, like, positive or negative charge. The more positive thoughts you think, it'll lead to a more positive life experience, and the more negative thoughts you think, it'll lead to a more negative life experience. And then we tied that into Proverbs 23, verse 7, with the first sentence of, "For as he reckons in his life, so is he." And so that is basically, as a man thinks, so he is. And so we tied that into how in our walk and as children of Elohim that we're commanded to live in a place of shalom and emunah, and how that's just an absolute blessing, and some would consider a life hack, because regardless of what's happening in your external circumstances, we are commanded to live in shalom and emunah, and if we can keep and stay in that place of shalom and emunah, following the commands that we've been given, we can trust that He, our Father, will lead us to positive life experiences. We then went on and discussed how if as people, we are the culmination of the different programs that we pick up throughout our lives, and how the main goal of this walk is to switch out the bad programs that we've had and then replace them with Torah and Yeshua. And so that way we can change, and that in order to change, that we have to overcome ourselves in the way that we've constantly been. And we talked about how a practice for that is meditation, and how if you take time to take 20 minutes and then overcome yourself and your urges that you want to do this, that, and the other thing while you're sitting down to meditate, you're strengthening that muscle within yourself to overcome your flesh. And you can take control of yourself. And so if you practice every morning overcoming yourself, when you have that opportunity where you want to act out of anger because something comes up, you'll have the control to feel that experience, but then not act out of it. And then as a result, you can come up against those moments and choose the way to act out in a Torah perspective, and allow us to grow closer and closer to Yeshua, or whatever that person, whatever that vision for their life is. Then we tied in Mark chapter 11, verse 24. Because this I say to you, whatever you ask when you pray, believe that you receive them, and you shall have them. And so the main reason we talked about this is because if you have a life and you have a vision that you genuinely believe that all you're doing it is to bring glory and honor to the Father, and that you're praying for it, and then you should be stepping forward from that prayer as if it's already done, and then you should have that knowing that you have everything that you need in order to accomplish where you're going, and that you should take that energy of, I know I can do it, and I know that He is going to provide the things for me as long as I do all of the right things myself, that then you'll end up there. And so then as you're going through the journey of wherever they're at to the person that they want to be, as long as they have that energy and the assuredness and the knowing that they have everything that it takes to get there, regardless of the speed bumps that come up along the way, that they will eventually end up at that vision of themselves that they have created. And then lastly, we had an opportunity for them to come up with a new schedule of how they wanted to format their day currently, so that way they could set themselves up for the future that they want, and really just let them know that they have absolutely everything that they need in order to become whoever it is that they want to become, and that the world is theirs to make the most of.
Somebody took my notes, but that's okay. One of you Goodle teachers. Okay, so now we're going to run the Goodle slideshow, and I want to thank Carrie and Uzi for making the Goodle slideshow for me. Okay, so that was our Goodle, both our classes, and you can see all the fun that they had all week. And then we have one more slideshow that we're going to run right now.
Oh, wow. Hey, that was fantastic. Amen. Praise Yah. Wow. I want you guys to, I'm really sure you already figured this out, but man, a lot of work went into putting this program together, okay? And so I want to thank, clap for it. I want to thank all of those who put this together, did all the work. I'm not going to name everybody, but all those who taught, produced crafts, produced, snacks, and all of you that came to the prep cutting party to get all that done, and the volunteers who all came to the classes. You guys did a fantastic job. Okay. Of course, Rebbetzin Julie and her team, just incredible as always, Look, I just want to say, we're going to end this real quickly here. We got to get to the lunch and all that stuff. But I want to just say that you hear me talk on a regular basis about being Chag-centric, right? Feast-centric. Well, this is what you just saw, because my wife will be starting on Passover's programming like tomorrow, okay? Almost. Because it takes the time between feasts to produce all of the material, all the programming, come up with all the games, and use all the things, all to engage, because we love them so much, to engage our children with the Word in a way that they can enjoy and they can learn and they can, look forward to. So I just want that to also then be a metaphor for what you guys should be doing and could be doing yourselves in your life, preparing in advance for feasts, because the feasts should not just sneak up on you. I mean, obviously one way to do that is financially, to save up your tithe, etc. But what about planning, for all of the other aspects of travel here if you're traveling, and all the other things that you're going to be doing, planning, just so you're prepared for it. Because I got to tell you, what you just saw, which went on all week, took, a couple of months of preparation. Fantastic program. Again, children, you were the best part of the whole program. You guys did so good. You guys did so good. While things were going on in here, I got to go in the class a couple of times and watch you, and you guys did a really good job of respectfully, listening to your teachers, and I saw you having fun with the games and making the different crafts, and it was just fantastic to see the engagement that the children had with that. So children, and I heard you guys sing. Awesome. Fantastic job. All right. All right, so we're going to wrap it up here and close. Just some quick reminders of how this is all going to work. So I need you to be lined up and ready to start getting in for lunch by about 12:20, which is about 5 minutes or so we can start letting you in right on time as we get to 12:25, 12:30. Don't forget, if you're in the first seating, are you going now to the first seating? Okay. There will be some music playing in here while you guys are waiting for the second seating. Okay. Then those of you who are in the first seating come back here, and then during the second seating, Brianna will be practicing and rehearsing for praise for this afternoon. Okay. And then remind all of you online, we hope to see you back here at 2:30. So when we on time start our afternoon service. All right. All right. What? Hold on. Oh, you want to say something?
Okay, sorry, I just need to let all the parents of the Katan Aleph and Katan Bet children come and get their bags with their crafts and their notebook pages, so go ahead and see their teachers after dismissal, as well as we had about 10 lessons left over from our Katan Bet classes, so if any adults want our whole program teaching, you can see Miss Betty up here in the front, and we'll give you all the lessons so that I think you'll be very well educated in the fruit of the Spirit. Thank you.
And you'll have fun with the crafts and everything else, right? Why not? All right. We'll see you in the afternoon at the afternoon service. Shabbat Shalom.